Hello everyone and welcome back to Planescape.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Planescape Torment Enhanced Edition. We are returning to Sigil and we have more work to do. So, in the spirit of doing a challenge run, such as we are,
What are we doing in here?
I have changed I've changed a little bit of what we have done to this point. You'll note for one that this is we have not cleared any of the space here in the Gathering Dust bar. The reason for that being that this is a new playthrough. I have played through almost all of the content that we've already done in the game, but with a slightly modified character. So if you look at the statistics screen, you'll see that I have boosted my wisdom all the way up to 18, with a dex of 15 and a charisma also of 15. Intelligence of 9. We're going to be raising the intelligence predominantly, as well as some points in charisma and dexterity as we go along. But the reason being that wisdom is kind of your core or your key stat in Planescape Torment if you want to be a talky kind of character. So
Interesting. Even more than charisma.
Yeah, persuasion, and also like just noticing things about people. Like perception is a wisdom skill, right?
Right.
So
that's true.
That's really where it comes down from. So
okay, I'm fine with that.
Fantastic. So we're going to do a little bit of stuff here in the Gathering Dust bar. As you may recall from the last episode, we just spoke to a man named Angyar who had sold his soul, basically, or sold his corpse at least, to the dustman. So we're going to get his dead contract, as well as talk to Sarah the Skeptic, which you may remember from before, but we're going to talk to her first.
As you approach, the elderly woman turns and stares at you. La, look who's come a-calling on Sarah today. Death's dearest son. She looks you up and down, then shakes her head in disbelief. By every power and its mother, boy. What crypt did you crawl out of? Well, the crypt was losing its charm, so now I'm looking for the right place to die. Know of anywhere? She barks a laugh that rattles your ears. Not here, unless you want to die of boredom. What's wrong with here? Someone pinch your sense and your sight, boy. She waves her hand around the bar. Look around. What do you eyes tell you? A bunch of fun-loving dustmen, drinking happily and conversing merrily, celebrating life to its fullest. You got a clever tongue there, boy. Mayhap your tongue is cleverer than you are. Sarah squints at you, then snorts. That'd explain the scars. But it doesn't explain why a dustman is standing here ridiculing other dustmen. Care to explain that one? Are you a dustman? A dustman? I suppose. Sarah sniffs. I've seen enough sand pass through the hourglass while wearing these robes. This body's almost ready to pay the ferryman. She chuckles, but there's not much mirth to it. Are you afraid of dying? Course I am, boy. Who isn't? She frowns and glances around. Well, except dustmen. They're not afraid because they've been swallowing so much of their own backdroppings over the decades they've blinded themselves into thinking that death is some kind of release. So what sparked this crisis of faith? She shrugs. Life, I suppose. She frowns. Ha! Never you mind. I won't bore you with the niggling details. I'd like to know, actually. Oh, would ya? She looks at you skeptically. How old do you take me for, boy? Old. She snorts. Well, you're wrong. I'm really old. Now, I've spent most of my long years teaching dustmen. I've seen many dustman whelps grow within our order, taught them the ways of the faction, kept the faith, preached the tenets of the faction. She frowns. And so on and so on. No questions, no doubt. This life was merely an antechamber that led to the true death. What happened? Well, a half-month back, I went sick with the fever. She sighs. I thought it was the end. It, rattled my cage. How? Her face becomes as stone. There's, something about having your faction members circle around your deathbed like a pack of pale-faced ghosts, nodding and agreeing that your suffering and dying is all for the best. Oh, Sarah's so fortunate. Soon she'll be relieved of the burden of life. Burden of life? Huh, that's when it struck me. That there's something... A queer expression comes over her features. Addled about not appreciating your life. The dustman kept saying that life is a misery and suffering. Is it? That's what we should be happy to pass on to oblivion, should we? She shakes her head. Questions, and precious few answers. It doesn't sound like you believe in the dustman philosophy anymore. I suppose. I've got a swarm of doubts all buzzing in my skull. She rubs her temples. Hard to get them all to be quiet sometimes. They need to be fed some answers, and I haven't got them all worked out yet. What will you do? To be square, boy, I don't know. Ceres sighs. That's the problem with doubt. I can't even trust what I'm feeling is true, or if I'm scared of death only because of my brush with the fever, or even what I should do. Is this a passing thing? I don't know. Seri, if you had truly believed in the dustman philosophy, then your brush with the fever would not have left you with such doubts. Seri stares at you, then nods slowly. Maybe so. Maybe so. She frowns, her face wrinkling up in concentration. I'll have to chew it over some more. You should. It's no small matter. Ah, now. Not for me rattling on about my woes. Seri stares at your scars. You look like you've shared a few handshakes with death yourself. Hasn't that changed your views somewhat? Doesn't it make you appreciate life a bit more? Well, my condition is unique. I woke up in the mortuary. I think they mistook me for a corpse and were prepared to bury me. The strange thing is, I think I actually had died and got better. Seri blinks. You're rattling my coffin. It's true. Strange are the ways of the plains, and I've seen too much to throw any tale out of the wash. She studies your face. If it's true, why does this happen? All I know is I woke up in the mortuary with no memory and covered with enough wounds to kill me 3 times over. I don't be saying that too loud. She glances around. Most peculiar. Never heard of anything like that. Shame about the memories. Do you have some idea why this happens? Nay, not one. Never knew anyone who death wouldn't take. till now. Farewell.
Right, cool. So we got some experience out of that, and we are actually going to be able to get some more experience out of Sarah later in the game, after this little conversation that we had with her, and sort of breaking her away a little bit from the Dustman faction.
Awesome.
Yeah, so now we're going to talk to Mortai, and we're going to see about getting Angyar's death contract back.
This tiny, wizened man is dwarfed by his huge dustman robes. They look as if they were chosen to cloak his small stature. Although he looks to be in his late 90s, this man is extremely energetic. He fidgets continuously and his eyes dart around the bar like a bird's. Greetings. The man's eyes gleam as he takes your measure and gives a slight nod in greeting.
Hail and well met, traveler. You look like one who's getting the Sigil legs about them.
He trails off.
Pardon me. Have we met before? Your face seems familiar somehow.
Possibly. Are you certain it was me?
Maybe I was mistaken.
Mortai shakes his head.
Well, no matter. How is it that Mortai Grayson may help you? Do you seek...
He clucks his tongue as he speaks.
The contract, perhaps?
Mortai Gravesend, are you the dustman who signed the contract with Angyar? Mortai frowns. He looks puzzled.
Mayhap.
He thinks for a moment.
I do not recall the name, however.
Do you have that contract with you?
Mortai frowns, then looks into the folds of his robes.
I
do not normally keep documents with me, but it may be that...
Mortai pulls forth a sheaf of papers from within his robes and begins leafing through the documents.
No, I don't have it on me. Would you like to fetch it from one of the back rooms?
If you could, I would see to it.
Like to see it.
Like to see it. Sorry.
It's a lot of words and a lot of pictures going through. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot to read here, is all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
Hold on a moment. He steps up from the table and departs. Wait for him to return.
My journal.
After a while, Mortai returns, a dusty piece of parchment in his hands. He holds it up, allowing you to see it, but he does not allow it to leave his grip. Look over the parchment.
There it is, sir. Angyar, very somber fellow, was quick to sign.
He clucks his tongue.
Now a much richer fellow.
You glance over the contract. It looks genuine and very official. Very well. It all looks in order. Mortai puts the contract away, and you notice he tucks it into his robes instead of putting it in the back room. Mortai clucks his tongue.
Does that answer your questions about the contract?
I would like to settle that contract. Mortai looks wary.
I'm afraid that is impossible. The contract is signed, settled, and binding.
The contract is tearing the man's life apart. It's causing him distress. It is possible he may not even be able to approach the true death with such emotions churning in his mind. Mortai chews this over for a moment. It looks like you've negotiated him into a corner.
I cannot. It's a matter of law, my friend. Besides, the burden lies upon the signer to overcome his feelings in order to reach the true death. I cannot...
So what you're saying is that you'll deny him the true death for the sake of a piece of parchment. Mortai sighs and holds up his hands as if to placate you.
Look, it's not how you're making it out to be.
You obviously hold the philosophy of the dustman in contempt to damn a man's soul over a piece of paper. Do other members of your faction know of your conduct in this regard? If not, they soon will. Mortai glares at you for a moment, opens his mouth, closes it, then opens it. By the 9 hells. He reaches into his robes and throws the contract to you. Here! He sniffs disdainfully. Oh, for a man's peace of mind. Now be gone! I will leave, for now. Farewell, Mortai.
Ta-da! And we got the dead contract back. Yeah, all right, and that is all the time that we have for this episode. But we'll be doing one more thing in the Gathering Dust Bar before we move on, starting in next week's episode. But thank you very much for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Planescape Torment, rehashing or returning to an old location once more. But pretty soon we're going to be moving on to some new spots. So look forward to that.
So join us once more again in Planescape. And by the way, I called it Sigil this time, but I will never do that. I will probably do it. It's always going to be Sigil to me, though.
Oh yeah, in my heart and soul, it's still Sigil, but apparently that is the official pronunciation of it. So
says who? Ugh, I'm done. I'm out.
D&D folks.
D&D folks. What do they know? Bye, everybody.
Bye.